This podcast series is brought to you by World of Coffee Dubai and DXB Live. Expand your specialty coffee brand into the fastest growing specialty coffee market in the world by becoming an exhibitor at the next World of Coffee Dubai in 2024. I will be there, so head to worldofcoffeedubai.com and join the mailing list to get notified when booth registrations become available. Check the show notes for further details. Welcome to the Daily Coffee Pro, everyone. I am Lee Safar and we are broadcasting live from the floor of World of Coffee Dubai, and I have the distinct honor of having a conversation with my friend and very accomplished businessman and very learned coffee professional, Mohamad Marhoon. Mohamad, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me in this podcast.
It really is my honor because our friendship happened quickly and it happened immediately, and I feel like I knew you for many, many lifetimes, and it's just been really fascinating to watch the way that you operate within the Middle East. So do you want to tell us a little bit about what you do and where you're situated and all about Artist Hub?
Okay, so my name is Mohamad. My company started in 2014. I started as just like a coffee consumer in the beginning, but that like in a quick way turned into more of business, and I wanted to share this nice experience of having this passion with coffee with other people. So the idea first was just a coffee shop, and then it just progressed into more of roasting, then discovery for the farms, discovery of more technical parts of preparing the coffee. So it went actually in a different direction at the same time. It's a bit confusing, but it's interesting at the same time because you just try to catch up with what's happening, and it was quick. But I tried to stay focused on what I really want to do, first as a coffee shop, and then as a roastery, and then as an importer of green coffee and sales as well. So it was a bit out of control in the beginning, but once you put your values on what are you really doing and what you want to achieve in, let's say, 3, 5 years, 10 years, you get back the grip on what you need to do. The passion started as a consumer in the beginning, and at that time we did not have any real specialty coffee shop. It was just coffee. It was really hard to tell people why I like this kind of industry, but they catch up really fast. I was looking at the market in Dubai, in Saudi Arabia, and then to the other GCC countries. So sharing this experience with others just pushed me more into going further.
Because if you don't mind me saying, you bring a very unique perspective to the industry that most other people don't. Your entry into the industry was as a student becoming a medical doctor in Melbourne.
Yes. Yeah.
And that's where you kind of got your into specialty coffee.
Yes, correct. That was in 2009 or 2010 when I first discovered the specialty coffee in Melbourne, in Australia. But when I came back to Saudi, I thought, okay, now I need to get into this kind of specialty coffee. It's not there, but maybe I can do it. And I started with my partners to the journey. Yeah. That's to share this kind of specialty coffee and industry with others. And that's how it progressed. Then finding the roastery and getting more into what I believe now is more important than consuming is to know the whole supply chain and the how the coffee actually reaches to you from the farms into your cup. It's a long journey, and I think that's where we need to focus now, especially in our region. Things were happening really fast, and I believe this is what we need to focus on: education and giving more values to the cup of coffee.
What do you mean by that? Tell me. Do you mean financially? Do you mean for consumers? Do you mean for the supply chain? If we're giving value to to the cup of coffee.
Yeah. That I mean, like when you, as a consumer, you go to a coffee shop, you walk in and you order your coffee.
Yeah.
Let's say you will spend 10 dirham, 20 dirham for that cup.
Yeah.
Maybe because you think that's the value of that cup.
Yeah.
But then if you go to another coffee shop and it introduces that coffee in a different way and actually giving you a story, how this coffee came to you, you might have a higher value. You are ready to pay more for that cup of coffee.
Right.
That's what I mean. Like I need this kind of value in the perspective of the consumer, because eventually, like they are the one who will pay for this coffee, and this payment eventually is affecting the farmers.
So how, in your experience, what's the difference between the way that the specialty coffee industry works in Melbourne or in Australia in general? I know you have a secret love for Melbourne compared to Sydney. We won't talk about that.
Fair enough.
We learned that when we were in MICE, but what's the difference between the way people consume coffee in a country like Melbourne, a city like Melbourne versus in Saudi?
I think the biggest difference is the time or the period that people started that kind of industry there and when it started here. We're talking about a recent trend, not more than, I would say, 7-8 years max. And a lot of things happening in a short period that makes it a bit, I would say, a bit chaotic in some way, because people are just jumping from just knowing specialty coffee into, oh, I want a Panama Geisha. That's not the way it works. I mean, you have to know first what is actually coffee. It's a fruit, how it's harvested, how it's processed, and then you try just the classic ones with natural process or a washed process, and then you progress slowly to know more and more. You cannot just jump in and just try different things in a chaotic way. It will just give you confusion, and sadly, it will affect the market in a negative way. So it's a confusion for the roaster, confusion for the consumer. It needs to be restructured and reorganized to make it really work.
Do you think that business owners in this region understand, or let me say, ask this a different way? In Australia, in America, in the countries that I've consulted in, there's a real disconnect between the way that business owners understand their consumer compared to the way that they understand coffee.
Okay.
Do you think that there's a difference here?
There are two parts for this kind of questions. The first part, I can realize that since the past 5 years, all the startups for coffee and specialty coffee, it was starting as a passion. So people, and I would confess, I was one of them. Like I started with passion. I did not have any knowledge about business, any background. And as you said, it was my medical background. I did not know anything about business. So that was a big mistake.
Okay.
That cost me a lot to recover.
It cost all of us a lot when we did it. You weren't the only one. I was right there with you.
And there are people like one of my mentors, the Martin Manshaw from Copenhagen. He was telling us in the roasting course, it's not only about the passion. You need to take care of business too. Yeah. Because even if you start as a passion, like 2 or 3 years, 5 years, and then you lose your business, you lose everything. So you have to take care of this part as well, and that's not happening in our market. I always tell our clients, the startups, just take care of the business side. I know you love coffee, you have a passion, you want to go really fast, but be careful with this side.
Because you'll be able to do it for longer.
Yes.
That's the game, right? Yeah. Like Melissa was on the podcast earlier today, and she was saying that the life cycle of the product is something that people need to become really aware of.
Yeah.
So is this going to be something that as we move forward in the industry, as we look to the future of the way that it all unfolds, do you think that people who start to pay attention to the product life cycle so that doesn't define the length of their business, which is what Melissa was saying, like people aren't paying attention to the product life cycle, the first product they release is going to be the size of their whole business?
Yes.
Do you think that there's a tendency towards embracing the shift that's necessary to have longer term businesses, or people still drunk on kind of like, oh, I'm going to be an entrepreneur?
It's hard to decide for these people on what they want to do. So when you have a trend and it's happening, and it's a lucrative business, and everyone wants to go and get into that kind of business, but if they don't have, and I've said that in the beginning, if they don't have values, goals to move toward, they will just spend maybe 2-3 years, and then they will just quit or find something else. Doesn't always go as smooth as expected, and it's not an easy work. They have to work really hard to make it happen.
Do you think it's like, so for me, the first business I opened in coffee, I had to fail to realize that I had no business or having a business?
Not necessarily. I mean, it's one of the things that might happen, that you fail, but everybody will tell you that failure is not always
not
means
failure.
that quitting. Yeah, you don't quit because you failed. Maybe you can try again.
It can be very healthy, right?
Maybe then you realize this is not for you, so you move into something else. So in that case, actually, it's better you fail earlier.
You fail quickly and fast, right?
Yeah. So you have the time to do something else. Yeah, but you need to know what you really want to do. Yeah.
What do you think are the exciting things about the future of specialty coffee in this whole region? Or in Saudi, you tell me, whichever you want to explore.
I think it's the attention is more toward the earlier stage of coffee. I mean, from farm and harvesting and agriculture perspective into more processing and new innovation. I know some people might be not willing to do or to go that pathway because they think it's not real coffee, or they are sticking with the traditional way of making and processing coffee, but it's not right, it's not wrong. I mean, everyone has his their own opinions, but we should not just stick what's happened, because we need to move forward and innovate new things, new technologies, and the knowledge is there, the technology is there, so why not using it? And it doesn't always have to be only about coffee as a drink, as a traditional drink, but making something else, like you've heard about using the ground coffee to make some kind of sustainable cutlery plates or cups, if you don't have this open mind to go and try to think that way, you'll not do anything new.
I have to say, as your friend, that has been one of the most refreshing things that I learned from you, because I do learn from you. I learned from you that the openness that you bring to the things that you do inspire the people around you to be equally as open to ideas that they would never normally be open to.
Yeah.
And it's a real gift to give that perspective to someone.
Yeah, and actually that's one of our values in Artist Hub as a company, is being disruptive. There is
I'm all about that.
There is maybe some people they would consider there is a negative connotation in that, but actually it's actually nice to have this kind of openness for innovation and new things. Just think wild. It's not always wrong, but this is the way to get your new ideas and new inspiration.
Yep. Now, some of the people listening to the podcast may have some preconceived ideas of Saudi Arabia, particularly around the idea of openness.
Yeah.
Right? You're someone who's an incredibly well-traveled person.
Yes.
What do you, and I don't in any way see you as a closed-off person. I see you as very open. Everyone I've met from Saudi is very open. What do you say to people that think that Saudi Arabia is like the Saudi Arabia of 10 or 15 years ago? How has it changed?
Unfortunately, yeah, it's a lot of people, they are still searching the web for some kind of information,
Okay.
and most of it is outdated.
Yeah.
If we are thinking that all of these changes happened in the past 3 to 5 years, it's a lot of changes. You cannot just update every website there on the internet and just read from that. I would say go and visit, see the people in
Yep.
person, talk to them, go to different cultures, and we have a lot of cultures in Saudi Arabia. You go
Yeah.
to the east, to the center, to the west, south, and north. Every region has its own identity, but all of them will be welcoming to have anyone. So just go there, see what's going on, and believe
Yeah.
your eyes.
Well, and the really exciting thing is that I feel about this region, that with the clients that I have, as well as with the things that I've seen, everyone's excited about the learning.
Yes.
Like everybody that I've encountered here is excited about not what they're doing today. They're excited about what they're going to learn so that they can know what they're going to become.
Yeah, and there is a big potential for everyone. I mean, we still need the skilled people to teach us and tell us what's the right pathway to go and make things happen. We have some knowledge, yes, but we still need the other people's knowledge to integrate it with what we have. So
Yeah.
we make things even better. Yeah.
Shahan was saying when he came on the podcast earlier, he was saying how exciting it is to be able, because of the open-mindedness in this
Yes.
region, that how exciting it's going to be to see science integrate with such a booming economy
Yes.
and connect money into that with the investment that comes with it. I think the potential is so much greater here than it is in countries like Australia. And everyone in Australia is going to get really pissed at me saying that. But the thing is, we've been doing this for 30 years, specialty coffee.
Yes.
Our people are reinventing the wheel now. What I've witnessed here is that people are starting from where we've gotten to in 30 years. And this is a time that had science when we didn't.
There is a high potential also because the last generations, I think the big part of them, they studied abroad. So
Based on,
on
what did you say?
they studied abroad.
Oh, right.
Yeah, if we were talking about the past 5 generations, I was studying abroad.
Yeah.
And they came back to the country with this kind of knowledge that they got from other countries, and they are ready to use that knowledge.
Yeah.
But they need the right mentor, the right people to guide them.
It's really exciting. I've got to say, I mean, I'm very excited about this region. Before I came for World of Coffee, we've got the Middle East podcast for Mappa Forward. So I was already really excited about the things that we could do to inject that knowledge in. Sada is well-traveled, the host of the podcast. I wasn't even prepared
Okay.
for what I've seen. I've got to tell you, I was not prepared at all. Noah and I have been going around to cafes. We've been talking to a lot of people. We have so much work to do in Australia
Agree.
just to get to the level that you guys are at.
Yeah. And you have the time.
And we have the time. And it's just very exciting. It's exciting because people are really, like, when our industry started, the internet wasn't a thing.
Yeah.
We weren't sharing information the way that is being shared now. We weren't seeing each other's businesses the way that is being seen now. And the inspiration that seems to be pouring into this region is wild and exciting. So what's next for Artist Hub?
Probably we are now trying to get back to the basics.
Okay.
So we started small, and then we moved into bigger operations.
Uh-huh.
But when you grow, you need to rethink of all the operations or the strategies, and then you have to go back to the basics. Okay, we were doing things this way, but now it's not working anymore. We have to restructure all those basics, and then just keep going with expansion. So we've been doing only roasted coffee. We were only Artist Hub coffee roasters, Now that's not the case anymore. Now it's only Artist Hub. But then we have different solutions, different products, including roasted coffee, and then green coffee, and then machines. And very soon, well, I don't know if I should say that now, but I will say it.
Go on.
We'll be going with the cacao industry. Very excited.
I'm so excited to see how this evolves. Are you one of the only people that's doing what you're doing in Saudi?
No, I think there are other people too.
But at the specialty level?
I'm not sure yet, and I'm still in the stage of discovery.
Wow.
And knowing what's going on, and I'm actually excited because it's the same thing that would be happening with coffee is happening with the cacao.
Really?
And that's why I was calling it a fruit journey, because both are fruits.
Yeah.
And we would care about all the levels from the farm to the consumer. Yeah.
I wish you all the best with it. We're going to actually, you know this, but we're going to have you come back on the podcast to do a whole series, because I want to explore the intricacies of what you've talked about. I think that you, not just as someone from Saudi, but you as a coffee professional / expert / businessman / discoverer, disruptor, all of these things, you have a lot of inspiration that you can share with people who are looking to become you. And so I really would love for us to do that, and you can be a mentor from afar for a lot of people.
I'm ready to help. Like I would not be shy to share my knowledge. It's for
wonderful.
Everyone.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for this conversation.
Thank you.
And could you let us know where people can find you if they want to find you on social media or on the internet?
I think I'm an easy guy to find. You can find me like by email, by phone number, by social media, Instagram, and you'll find me somewhere.
Well, we can't wait to the series that happens, and we'll see you soon. Peace, love, and peanut butter, everybody. Have an amazing rest of your day.
Thank you.
Thanks, friends. If you enjoyed this video, here's what you should check out next. Consider supporting Map It Forward on Patreon, and be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell before you leave.